We are graced with Sarah's presence tonight. I have to say, I'm a little starstruck. I love you as Aunt Lydia on The Handmaid's Tale. Mike Pence, if you haven't seen it, you would love it. Every time Sarah steps up to the podium, I get excited because I'm not really sure what we're going to get. You know, a press briefing, a bunch of lies, or divided into softball teams. It's shirts and skins, and this time don't be such a little bitch, Jim Acosta. And I'm never really sure what to call Sarah Huckabee Sanders. You know, is it Sarah Sanders? Is it Sarah Huckabee Sanders? Is it Cousin Huckabee? Is it Auntie Huckabee Sanders? Like, what's Uncle Tom but for white women who disappoint other white women? Oh, I know, Aunt Coulter. I actually really like Sarah. I think she's very resourceful. Like, she burns facts, and then she uses that ash to create a perfect smoky eye. Like, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's lies. It's probably lies.
9 billion names of pod.
From Atlanta,
where Michelle Wolf is welcome to host my dinner party anytime.
it's the 9 Billion Names of Pod. Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Michael Hunt, but you can call me Mike.
So, let's talk about some stuff.
All right.
So, Infinity War came out this weekend, and neither of us have seen it. So, we're going to talk about politics.
We'll get you next time because we're basically on social media lockdown because I love my friends, but some of them I cannot trust. To stop.
See, now, and we're recording this the Sunday after the Thursday, Friday weekend that it opened.
Right.
Now we get into the really, really dangerous part of it because now everyone's like, well, now everyone's seen it, so spoil.
It's been 48 hours. Right. Haven't you seen it yet?
Right. And I honestly don't know when I'm going to see it. I'm losing my mind, but I've just been so busy.
Care to guess what its projected opening box office is?
Oh, it's over 250.
It's 250.
It's 250.
$250 million.
It's going to
worldwide.
break. It's going to break Force Awakens record. They said it's going to top it.
Yeah,
they said it's going to, and I am not one tiny bit surprised. I was like, this is going to be the biggest movie of all time.
Yeah, and not upset. I mean,
no, absolutely earned it.
You know,
I mean,
just like if a film or a song or a performance gets an award and another one that I like doesn't mean that that's less, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that hurts my nerd soul of
your Star Wars nerd soul.
The Avatar thing just burned me for years.
I know.
I mean,
I
that
still
just
don't
made
understand.
me livid. That piece of shit was. I mean, it was a good movie and it was an innovative thing, but who cares? And how is that the biggest movie of all time?
Well, apparently, according to James Cameron, we're going to get 97 sequels because he's filming them all simultaneously and doing a show on AMC about science fiction in film and literature.
Which I got. He's going to do a George Lucas episode as well.
He's doing a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. He's talking with Sigourney.
Yeah.
You know, maybe she'll talk about why Neil Blomkamp can't do Alien 5. and believe me, I think he would probably do a lot better than Alien Covenant. I mean,
that was rough.
It's I've been watching. There's 1,000,001 Alien universe explained and analyzed on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's a couple of guys that talk nothing about, what about this? What about the original Deacon? What about this one hieroglyphic inside the head chamber? What does that mean? And all of it is so fascinating. And God damn it, Ridley Scott is not doing any of that stuff.
Right.
Was that the engineer planet that David dropped the goo on? Was it another settlement that they had seeded life? We don't know for sure, although Ridley Scott says, yes, that was the engineer planet. But unless it's in the film, he can always go, well, no, we need to make that something else so we can do...
Yeah. We're going to set up that one planet that's not LV-426 and have the exact same ship crash into it for some reason.
The rumor is that... we're getting far afield here, but the rumor is LV-223.
Is that what?
That's the Prometheus planet.
Okay.
LV-426 is a moon close by.
Still doesn't.
That's That's a rumor.
Okay.
And there's so much we could talk for hours about it, but we're not here to talk about that.
No, we're here to not talk about Infinity War.
We're here not to talk about Infinity War.
Yeah. But what we are talking about
is maybe a little politics, specifically the White House Correspondents' Dinner, more specifically 15 minutes of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and more illustratively, Michelle Wolf.
Yeah.
Michelle Wolf's set at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
If you've never seen the White House Correspondents' Dinner, you
are probably not alone.
Right. It's not. It's only in the last few years become a thing that has been brought. Like it was on like C-SPAN 2 or something.
Well, because they started getting it rose in prominence with the rise
of
political
Explain
satire.
What it is. Explain what it is.
The White House Correspondents' Dinner is where politicians and members of the press get together, hobnob, and contribute money, either by their tickets or donations, not sure the exact mechanism, towards journalism scholarships for people. It's a celebration of the First Amendment, a night to, have some fun. And the keynote speaker is usually a comedian that will poke fun pretty much around at everybody. Mm-hmm. And up until maybe 10 years ago, you could count on it to be a little biting, but,
From what I understand,
like a roast, but a PG roast.
Yeah, and from what I understand, the one that really broke it open was Stephen Colbert.
Absolutely.
Wasn't it?
With one of the best lines I have ever heard at a White House Correspondents' Dinner. People are saying that the Bush administration is sinking like the Titanic. This is not true. It's soaring like the Hindenburg. And that was brilliant.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
I remember I have Craig Ferguson's audiobook, and it begins at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and he explains kind of how it goes. And he said, I had all this stuff, and they said, don't be too dirty, don't be too mean, spread it around. And I've seen his thing, and it wasn't bad, but it was not Colbert.
Yes, and it was not Michelle Wolf, because
right. If you hadn't seen this,
after I watched it, they were doing commentary on MSNBC, and they had to apologize for 2 fucks being said. She said fuck.
Did she really?
And it went it did not get bleeped, censored, or anything.
I've only watched one bit of, I've watched little tiny chunks, and I watched the whole Sarah Huckabee Sanders bit, and that is just brutal. It is just fucking brutal.
It's brutal, and they're going, and the conservatives are going on, like, oh, this was crass, this was so below the belt. Like, who is the standard bearer of your fucking party right now?
Yeah,
Mr. Manners? No, it's an orange troll named the Donald.
Yeah,
so
just take any of the quotes he said over the last anything on Twitter. Just go through his feed. You'll find more despicable things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, of course, Michelle Wolf saying the F word and joking about abortion is much worse than making fun of a handicapped reporter or calling certain countries shitholes. I'm sorry, shit houses. Because that was their spin, and that's better.
Yeah,
it's less. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, she. There was a big to do about her making fun of Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Yep. Don't know. Sanders, Huckabee Sanders. Sarah's look, and the only thing that she made fun of, I think it was something along the lines of she takes the Constitution or something like that.
She takes the ashes.
She takes facts, burns them, and then uses the ashes to create a killer smoky eye.
Yeah,
is it Maybelline? Or maybe it's lies or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's the only reference to her look. So, and it was just a makeup thing.
Yeah, everything else. It was not an attack. It was not a personal attack. It was not a body shaming thing at all.
No, not at all.
It was an attack on her, what she does,
inability to
tell the
speak
truth.
factually.
Right.
Or let's face it, to toe the administration's line, which is basically bluster and bullshit at all times.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's always funny that, the Republican Party, which is made up of predominantly millionaires, at least at that level.
In that room.
Always complaining about the elitists taking shots at them. It makes me laugh every time. It's like, yeah, this comedian who, has not, she's not a household name. She's not, she's not Kevin Hart
Although, hey, she worked at Bear Stearns for a year.
Okay.
She did.
She?
Yeah, she worked in the financial industry for a bit. But so?
Yeah. But she's an elitist, and the Hollywood elite, it's hilarious that...
Of course. Anything that shines a light on your particular brand of bullshit or comes from academia where they are more learned and have more information than perhaps you're bringing to the table, that makes it elite. I want my president to be elitist. I want my president to be the smartest guy in the room on most occasions.
At all times, yeah.
There's always somebody smarter.
Right.
But
on that level.
To actually get the best people, not like, hey, you said some nice things about me, Doc. I think I'm going to make you, the VA secretary.
Until you leave, and then I've never heard of you before.
Yeah, well, no, he never... have you been following politics at all lately?
Yeah.
Well, he nominated the White House doctor, Ronnie Jackson, who was I believe it's a rear admiral. But... The clip on him was he had never administered a bureaucracy, which, aside from the Pentagon, the VA is the largest government organization in the country.
Okay.
And it was like, he's not qualified really to do it. It's like saying, like, hey, that guy's digging a great ditch. Let's have him do the second Panama Canal or something like that. You know. It takes a little more skills and, to take that base set of skills and apply it on a scale that's, unbelievable. And quite frankly, at that level, you don't really even need to be a medical doctor. You need to be more of an administrator with familiarity with medical issues.
Exactly.
Being an actual doctor, I don't think is as important. It's very helpful, I'm sure, but it's far more important to have organizational skills. Because look at Trump's personal doctor, that guy with the long hair and the kind of, goofy... Who
said he was in better shape than Obama and taller and 6'5".
If he gets elected,
pounds.
Well, no, this is this was Ronnie Jackson.
Okay,
he basically reported Trump's weight at 1 pound below obese, but also gave him another inch of height so that so he wouldn't be technically listed as obese.
Yeah,
trust me. As an obese man, I know obese, and that boy obese.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the one of the funny things somebody posted, it was 2 tweets within 24 hours by Mike Huckabee, and the one was something about him going on some show and he was going to tell it like it is, and if you can't handle it, don't you better not tune in, you snowflakes, whatever. And then the next day it was like, how dare this person that was vulgar and distasteful, and how dare you attack us like that. The hypocrisy is just, it's mind melting.
Well, it's the traditional bully, psychopathy. Can dish it out, cannot take it
at all, and just doesn't.
It.
They don't even realize that they're doing it. That it started day one when Sessions was complaining about the Democrats being obstructionist. It was like, where the fuck have you been the last 8 years? That's all. That's the only thing you did for 8 years.
Your party actually had a meeting in Washington after Obama was either elected or inaugurated, or I can't remember the exact date of it, where McConnell said, "Okay, here's the deal.
Yeah,
he gets nothing.
This is our strategy."
Yeah. So what?
Yeah.
I just it's staggering, and I tell you, this week was really fun for me because I believe it was it's either Thursday morning or Friday morning. Trump went on Fox and Friends.
Yes.
Have you heard about this?
I've heard about it. I haven't watched the clip
All
yet.
right. as you well know, his personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, had
Yep.
his offices raided.
Yep.
Not by Robert Mueller, but he's the one that made the referral. He found some stuff, but it wasn't part of his purview.
Okay.
Not part of his, his scope.
Dossier or
his
such.
no, not dossier. His remit, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't under his jurisdiction.
Got it.
So he referred it to the Southern District of New York, and those attorneys got it together and they raided him. Okay. This is what promoted or prompted Trump to say attorney-client privilege is dead. Now, what he probably doesn't understand, and maybe a lot of people don't understand, is that when you raid the office of a lawyer, there's another procedure than if it's just you or me, because there is privileged material in there. The raid is done, the materials are removed, and this is the subject of a lot of sniggering on late-night television. The materials are placed with a taint team.
Yeah, I kept seeing a joke about that.
Right. What the taint team does, it's completely independent from the investigators. This is a whole separate thing. They will go through and go, this is privileged, this is not privileged, this is okay for the prosecution to see, the investigators to see, this is not. This has nothing to do with what they're doing, and they separate it out so that if a lawyer has, 300 clients and you're after only one, maybe two, not everyone gets swept up in that, and attorney-client privilege is protected.
Right.
Okay? So the attack on this situation was that the lawyer for Michael Cohen said, hey, there's privileged stuff in there for the President of the United States. There are clients there that, shouldn't be brought into all this. And that's how we found out in open court that actually Michael Cohen only had 3 clients.
Right.
One, I believe his last name was Brody. This was the GOP finance chairman who arranged through Michael Cohen to pay off a woman he had an affair with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The second person we know obviously is Donald Trump.
Yep. Who also that was also how he became prominence in the news, is that he was the one who paid off Stormy Daniels.
Exactly. And it's entirely possible that a lot of this is in connection with the Stormy Daniels thing, or it came about because of it.
Yep.
At least Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels' lawyer, says on the 9,000 TV shows he's on, every minute of every day on every network except for Fox.
Yeah.
But we found out who the third client was, who specifically did not want to be revealed, but the judge forced it to be revealed, and it's Sean Hannity.
Yes.
And he said, hey, I just asked him for advice. And, it's just, nothing. There's, I never got a bill from him. I may have slipped him $10 to say, hey, I'm your, you're my lawyer now. Give me some advice. We'll see about that.
Yeah.
In the aftermath of that revelation, it's been disclosed that apparently Sean Hannity got help through through HUD for some of these properties that he's been buying up. Mm-hmm. So don't know too much about that, but there's we know what we know about Fox News is that they will fire somebody if they have to, i.e. Bill O'Reilly. But man, it takes a lot.
Yeah.
It takes a lot. And depending on which day you ask him, Sean Hannity, I'm a news guy. Nope, I'm an entertainer. So if he says something that's very unjournalistic.
Alex Jones pulled that shit too.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm a character. It's not real. No. You are putting yourself out there as an actual spewing facts, and he's commentary and opinion, which is what Hannity really is. Not, he's speaking opinions and commentary about the news, but this is, oh look, the sky is purple, the sky is plaid, the sun is an ice cream cone. That's, they will take facts that are out there and spin them to make it sound like it's something else. Yeah.
And of course, Alex Jones is being sued right now by some of the parents from Sandy Hook.
Yes.
And thank God, I hope that, unfortunately in this country, libel and defamation is a very high bar. If this was England, Alex Jones would never have gotten to where he is.
No.
He would have been sued out of existence because their libel laws are far more shall we say, accessible to justice. Where here, you can do it, but it's a bit rough. But getting back to this wonderful Fox and Friends,
Yes.
diarrhea of the mouth situation.
Tirade?
Yeah. God bless Fox and Friends. I will say this right now because I believe it was Peter Ducey asked, or one of the two gentlemen. It's two guys and a girl. I can't remember what the third guy was.
No idea.
Yeah. Whatever. And he said, but hey, how much of your legal work was being done by Michael Cohen? As a percentage, it's a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction. Oops. Within 2 hours.
Yeah, New York.
They had filed the the DA had fired. Is it district attorney? The attorneys had made a filing in the case because Cohen wanted all this stuff protected because of the president. Well, the president just said there's hardly anything that's privileged in there because he did so little work for me.
Right.
That's it, so little.
And didn't he say something about, he helped me with this whole
Stormy Daniels
thing.
And that's the first time he has admitted out loud that Stormy Daniels was
right. Wasn't he denying the fact that that anything was happening?
Well, no, it had never been publicly confirmed that Michael Cohen had anything to do with representing him legally.
Yeah.
It's been played off like, hey, she was causing some trouble, so I got you, Mr. President. Here's $130,000 to shut her up.
Yeah, and
I
wasn't
got your
this
back.
Nimrod, didn't he pay this woman off and not get paid back and then complained about it?
Well, here's the thing. Once the payment was disclosed, it looked pretty bad because being so close to an election, that payment to silence her would have been considered a campaign contribution. Now, if it had happened, a year before, maybe not so much. But when you're looking at, a month before the election?
Right.
That falls under the jurisdiction or the purview of campaign finance law. And to get out of that, he said, no, it wasn't an election law violation because I paid it myself out of my own money, and Trump didn't know anything about it at all.
Yeah.
So that's how he tried to get out of that. And everyone went, well, first of all, you're not allowed to act, for your client without telling them.
Yep.
That's kind of in disbarment territory.
Yep.
But okay, we'll go ahead and just kind of nod and move on to other things. And whoops, suddenly it came out that he was grousing and had been grousing to people before this all blew up that he was out $130,000 because he didn't get paid back by Trump. So that kind of blew that up. So it's basically they're saying that the Michael Cohen investigation has the possibility of being more damaging to Trump than the Mueller investigation, and that is saying something.
Yeah.
Well, because Cohen has been his lawyer far before the run up to the election. He's been his lawyer handling things for him for a good long time. He has connections to some of the former Soviet satellite states. There's Russian connections there.
Yeah, I was watching John Oliver, and he said the interesting thing about all this. Watch this, and he showed a montage of all the clips of when they tagged Cohen, and they said, and every clip was like, is Cohen gonna flip? 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 And he said, at no point does anyone ever say, did Trump not do anything wrong?
Exactly.
It's like so well known.
It's like there's something there.
Yeah, there
so
has
will
to
he
be.
will he flip? And also, because of the investigation, the lawsuit that Stormy Daniels filed against Michael Cohen for defamation, he has said that he will be pleading the fifth, so that he doesn't get embroiled in that while he's dealing with this other case, and the judge put a 90-day hold on that case. And Michael Cohen pleading the fifth provided late night TV and commentators with some really good archival footage of President Trump commenting on some of Hillary Clinton's people in that email investigation pleading the fifth.
Yeah.
And he said, that's what the mob does. You know what? If you plead the fifth, you're guilty. You're guilty. Only the mob does that.
Well, you know,
It's a legal strategy. It really doesn't necessarily have anything, but that's how he characterized it to damage Hillary Clinton.
Right, but everything, you know, there's the joke, meme, whatever it is, that everything he says, there's a tweet from 7 years ago
that contradicts it.
That contradicts it completely. Yeah. You know, and no one should no president who is being investigated by the FBI should be allowed to be president.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, you can't elect Hillary. It'll be nonstop investigations as soon as she gets into office.
Right.
You were right about part of that.
Yeah.
The investigations part, not about Hillary being president, but yeah. So that's happening in our country right now. Not very happy about all that.
That picture of the dog in the room on fire saying this is fine.
This is fine.
This is where we live.
Oh,
now.
I'm sure that meme is out there with just Donald Trump sitting in the room of fire going,
yeah.
This is fine.
This is fine.
This is fine. So, where do you think this is all going?
Dude.
I mean, seriously, this, as much as I hate it with every fiber of my being and wish it wasn't happening, seeing somebody who just puffs themselves up, never admits fault, and thinks he's the greatest on the planet. He's the epitome of, like, the guy in his 50s who still thinks, I might be a bit old, but I can still get that 22-year-old. No, you can't.
No, you can't.
No, you can't. All things being equal, you can't. You got a couple billion, you can get some women like that because some women are like that. Some guys are like that.
Yeah.
You can't, you know, he thinks his shit don't smell at all.
He's, you know,
and, you know, the higher you go, the harder the fall.
The only problem is...
Well, will he take the country with us?
No, it's
Or
not
with
that. The problem is being, you know, whatever level of millionaire or billionaire he actually is, I would love to see a hard fall, you know, contrition.
Contrition.
But
is
that's
not,
what I mean.
He would rather die.
He's not. He will, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
You know, he will never pay the price that we want him to pay, which is that the humiliation and it'll get spun, it'll get washed away with money, and you know he'll go away eventually. But he will not get the comeuppance we all want.
In the meantime, he will stack the judiciary with conservatives in their late 20s, early 30s that will sit on the bench for 40 years and continue to fuck us long after he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
well,
I pray every day for the health of Kennedy and Ginsburg and the rest of the sane people on the Supreme Court. Because I'll tell you, if Trump gets another Supreme Court pick, this country is fucked.
Yeah.
The only thing that gives me any hope whatsoever is the midterms, and if we take back the House and the Senate, which is almost a guarantee for the House. Never count your chickens though, but pretty solid. The Senate's a much tougher slog,
right?
And unfortunately, that's where the judiciary is, the judges are confirmed, including the Supreme Court. So we could have every seat in the entire House, but if we don't have the Senate, it doesn't work. That doesn't help us.
Right.
So it helps us on budget things, but it does not help us on confirming judges.
Well, he said today that we have to keep the House and the Senate, because if they win in November, they're going to impeach me, is what he said.
And I'm against that.
I agree,
because if we win and then, first of all, if we run on we're going to impeach him as soon as we get in, we're going to lose.
Yeah,
because there are some people, and in a way, me too. I mean, I as well.
Yeah. Careful.
Yeah, I know. Well, we've all been fucked by this particular
Absolutely.
guy.
Yes.
Yeah. If we go for impeachment or run on it before there's any
Evidence.
any solid evidence, there's a lot of circumstantial. I mean,
Yeah.
so much. The whole smoke and fire analogy. There's a lot of smoke. It's getting a little warm.
Right.
We're waiting to see what comes out of the Cohen thing and out of the Mueller. If Mueller, and I trust him. If he comes out with a report saying, yeah, he's being a dick, he obstructed justice because he was so indignant about it, but there was no collusion, I will believe it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I trust Mueller. Even though he's a Republican, he has proved over the years to be, you can separate your
Yeah. He's
political...
worked for how many presidents?
Yeah, exactly. And he was the director of the FBI for a while. Comey's old job. So I will trust what that report says. Now, will we ever get to see it? Because he doesn't deliver it. He doesn't put it in a book like the Starr report.
Yeah.
This gets sent, I believe, to the House, the Senate. I can't remember. It's sent to the government, because if he determines he cannot indict a sitting president, then it's a report that gets handed to the legislative branch for them to determine to impeach him.
Yeah.
Politically. Now, once he's out of office, then he can be pursued criminally. If, however, he determines that, yeah, I can indict a sitting president, which, let's face it, you should be able to be indicted for criminal acts committed prior to your presidency.
Yeah.
And in many cases, probably during. I can understand a certain amount of protection you want to give a president, so they're not constantly, every Tom, Dick, and Harry goes, I don't like this, sue, sue, sue.
Yeah.
With some exceptions, obviously.
But they're not
if he killed somebody on the corner of, 5th and Broadway, and we, yeah, let's go ahead and indict him for murder. But otherwise, let's wait till he's out of office or until he leaves.
Right. But they are not above the law, is what it is.
No. It's justice delayed in some cases.
Yeah. I don't think, like I said, I don't think we're going to get the satisfaction that we need, that we deserve, to having to put up with this person. And that's the sad part, because, the bad guys usually do win one way or another. They usually skate or they win. And that's unfortunately, I think, what's going to happen, and then it'll take us, a decade to clean up the mess.
Kind of like when Obama got elected, within a month, Hannity was going look at this economy, Obama's economy.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, when the pilot puts the plane in a nosedive and the co-pilot comes in, or a new pilot in this case comes in, pulls it out, we still crash, but we're able to get on the ground and everyone's pretty much safe. It's like one of the passengers going, are we going to make our flight on time? Are we going to make our connecting flight in Chicago? What the fuck? This pilot sucks. It's like, do you realize what the other pilot did?
Yeah.
What are you bitching about? Or as they're parachuting out of the plane, but I wanted a blue parachute. This guy sucks. Exactly. Basically, all the benefits of Obama's economy immediately stopped being inured to the benefit of Obama the second Trump took office. Then all of a sudden, any benefit was automatically, because of Trump's election, just because he was elected. That's why the economy is picking up.
I mean, you can obviously, there is a theory, or at least what seems like the entire Trump presidency, or at least one of the factors that spurred him to run, was the White House Correspondents
being
Center.
taunted by Barack Obama,
right?
Yep.
And it's a presidency based entirely on spite.
Well,
100%,
and on ego, because I will never
hand in hand.
I will never be convinced otherwise that he ran knowing he wouldn't win, but he wanted to raise his profile, get some love,
publicity. Yeah,
maybe he was going to start his own conservative network, or ask for a better salary for The Apprentice season, whatever the fuck it was going to be. And then he won, and that's why this first year has been atrocious. I mean,
well, and every 3 weeks, it's Trump signs bill negating Obama era so and so.
oh yeah, it's almost like he has a list of 1 to whatever.
Yeah,
and
Obama did this.
Let's get rid of it.
that.
Get rid of
Let's
it.
get
Get
rid
rid
of
of
that.
it.
Let's get rid of that. And
Right.
that's
Well, and
infuriating part.
appointing cabinet secretaries that either have zero experience in that job or were diametrically opposed to that,
Yeah.
to the purpose of that that agency before they were appointed.
Yeah.
And because we have all the, we have a Republican majority in the Senate, they were confirmed for the most part. Even Betsy freaking DeVos,
Yep.
the sister of the guy that runs Blackwater. So,
Right.
there, and who gave something like, a couple million or something like that to the
And we
Republican
expect
Party.
a return on our investment.
Yeah, exactly. Return
She
on the
is
investment.
allegedly quoted as saying. So
Yeah. Well, did you hear what Nick Mulvaney said this week?
I don't know who that
Nick
is.
Mulvaney is Trump's selection to run the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the agency that Elizabeth Warren set up,
Okay.
whose sole mission is to police banking, insurance, and like, hey, you're doing something wrong, you're fined,
Yeah.
And their mission was upheld until the current guy, or the guy before Mulvaney, resigned to run for public office, I think in Wisconsin, where he's
Okay.
from. And even though the rules say that that person can handpick their successor until another one is confirmed by the Senate, Trump said no, he used some vacancy act, which really didn't apply, to put in his own person. And it was a big fight, and it looks like Trump won. Well, this Mulvaney guy has stopped all actions. Nothing. He has done nothing. He has requested barely any budget. He's basically just trying to like wither and starve this agency.
Yeah.
And he said this week, when I believe it was senator, I can't be sure, a member of the House, if a lobbyist wanted to talk to me and they hadn't donated to my campaign, I wouldn't even see them.
I did hear that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even talk to them. You don't say that out loud. We all know you do that.
Yeah, we all know you do that, but that's
But you
illegal.
don't say it out loud.
It's isn't it?
No.
It's
because
just immoral and
it's immoral. It's wrong. It can run a little bit. If he was talking about constituents, that would be one thing, but lobbyists are another. Now, a constituent lobbyist, I don't know. But, let's face it, when you're a member of Congress, you always have the representatives of 10,000 businesses hammering at your door, someone else's door, trying to get certain things that they want for their business, their industry, their client through. And the way to make a member of the legislature perk up and go, I'll listen to you, is campaign donations. And do you know why?
no.
Because at least, I don't know how it is in the Senate, but in the House, you have an obligation to kick back some of your campaign donations to the national party. Like, you have quotas. That's why you have to dial. Remember when Paul Ryan reluctantly took the Speaker of the House position?
Yeah.
They were begging him to do it because nobody else wanted it that they were willing to stomach. And one of the things he said, like, okay, I'll do it. I'm not doing any of the fundraising. And he used that to get out of all the dialing for dollars that have to be done. Because literally, you have to kick up money, all over the place that you are obligated to. And that's why money talks so hardcore, because they need the money to kick back for other elections, for their party and for themselves. Now, of course, if campaigns were government finance, it didn't start 17 years before the actual fucking election, we wouldn't have this problem. It's money in politics.
What is the election cycle in Britain? It's like
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
About 6 weeks. I think that's by law even.
That's what I mean.
Man, people may know that, that person's going to run, but the campaigning, the
It's none of
actively
this
talking to
3.5
constituents.
years.
Exactly. At this point, what we have, The election happened in November, and I think we were already starting to get things happening, 18 months prior, like in the summer
Yeah.
of was it 2016? You know, it's staggering, and it's a huge waste of money. Now, obviously, the media market in England is far different than it is in America.
Right.
You know, I mean, England would fit inside of America, what, like 8 times?
Yeah, it's inside of Texas or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
it's very small.
It's a lot different. It's a different media market, and if you're running a national campaign, there's a whole lot of other dynamics.
Still world power, though.
So, hey, you know what? If it's a state race, we'll call it 2 months. You know, if it's a local race, you know, give it 6. If it's a national, let's go 6 months. I can deal with that.
6 months is
for
reasonable.
a national campaign, for all, you know.
Yeah.
But God, a year and a half. And it's going to start again, because once the midterms are over, Washington is going to take a chill for Christmas, and then January, February of 2019, the rumblings will start
for 2020.
For 2020. And I'm not 100% convinced that Trump is going to actually run or even make it to run.
I don't know.
I mean,
he'll say he's going to.
Oh, of course,
he's gonna
because
say
that's the
he's
ego.
gonna
But
win,
he'll,
yeah.
you know, Melania told me not to.
My businesses
I love
are
I love my
suffering.
wife. I wanted to run. I wanted to fight for you, but I have to think of my family. Oh, really? When you were raw dogging porn stars, were you thinking about your family then?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And Melania actually smiled publicly for the first time in a while. And she didn't look over at Trump and doing it because he wasn't even in the room.
Nope.
It was actually at the first smile was at Barbara Bush's funeral.
Yep.
You know, at an appropriate time, not like, you know,
During the funeral.
Right. Well, no, it was, but the way that funeral, I listened to a little bit of it, and it was, I don't want to say it was an Irish wake in the sense, but it was upbeat. It was a celebration of life, not, whoa, why did she have, 92, she did okay.
That's a good run.
Yeah, and it wasn't sudden, so they knew this was coming,
Right.
And they were able to
Just celebrate her life.
just celebrate it and tell funny stories about her and be good, So it was a somber but uplifting thing there, and Melania was smiling.
Yep.
Melania was smiling. So,
And she was sitting next to.
Let's see. I think he's from.
It was the
from
president
Kenya?
of the United States.
Yeah. I don't want presidents to have unlimited reelection, but can we have just one more?
Yeah.
Like maybe 3 terms.
Grover Cleveland did it. Come on.
Yeah, and it's
Damn you, Roosevelt.
Was it Roosevelt or Truman? No, it was Roosevelt. I think that they enacted. I want to say 22nd Amendment. I can't remember the term.
The term limit.
The term limiting. He would still be president if that wasn't in there because he just kept getting elected.
Yeah.
I think he served 4 terms.
Yeah.
And they finally said, "All right, enough of that."
Yeah, Cleveland served 3 non-consecutive terms. Is what it was.
That's weird.
Yeah.
It's like coming back for more.
Yeah.
And I actually looked this up. I thought, hold it, you're not allowed to serve more than 2 terms. Is that consecutively or ever?
Yeah, at
Because
all.
after 4 years of Trump, if Obama were to run again, and I don't think he should because he's done his time.
Yeah.
He has earned the rest, and Michelle would probably punch him in the throat.
Well, that's what he said, yeah, on the Letterman thing.
But I looked and I said, apparently no, it's 2 terms. That's it. Now, it doesn't preclude you if you want to go run for Senate or anything else, but really, why would you step down like that? But it's possible.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, if
you
public
want
service, yeah.
But I think as a president, you are able to be somewhat above the fray and command certain audiences that you couldn't if you got sucked back into the day-to-day grind of politics,
Right.
national politics, for sure. I mean, he could run for mayor of Carmel, and no.
I said, I may have told the story on the show already, but I heard a story where someone asked him, what are you going to do when you're not president anymore? He said, what I want to do.
Sleep in?
Well, what he said was, I want to open a shop on the beach, and we only sell medium blue shirts. That's it. No decisions, no nothing. If you want a medium blue shirt, you come buy a blue shirt. If you don't want one, you don't have to come. But I don't want to make any decisions. I don't want to have any meetings. That's all I wanted to do. And I was like, that's the greatest thing ever.
Did he actually say that?
I'm sure it's apocryphal to a degree, but I've heard he's had something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought, I'm pretty sure I heard like, I get to sleep in now.
Yeah.
Or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. No executive time for Obama. I think he was up and at 'em and in the office by 9,
Yeah,
8:30,
something like
8:39.
And actually listening to his briefings.
Reading
his
briefings.
yeah.
Not looking for his own name, just actually reading it.
Did you watch the Letterman interview on Netflix?
I did.
Which was fantastic. I mean, as obviously as you would expect it to be.
And I tell you, even as an ex-president, he is not. He could vent. He could say a lot of shit. Because as an ex-president, he could say, "Let me tell you about these motherfuckers right here."
Yeah.
Nope. He kept his. He is the same person now as he was in office.
He's the classiest person in America.
He'll go, yeah. Someone will say, "Come on, wasn't Mitch McConnell a total dick?" And you're like, well. So, and just kind of like, I'm not dissuading you from saying that and disagreeing, but I'm not going to join in the fray.
Right,
I'm going to be like, I'm telegraphing.
That's
You got
so
it.
much better on his part than
Right. Other than, turning on the diarrhea spigot from your id like Trump does and just letting everything vomit out.
Right. He will always win. He will always take the high road and always win in that respect. He was on Jimmy Kimmel one time, and Jimmy asked him about what's something you miss not being able to do as president. He said, "I'd love to drive." He said something about, he's like, "I don't get to drive anymore." And he said something offhandedly like, and it was hard to readjust because we drive on the other side of the road in Kenya, and just like
I remember that,
and it was so great. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Alex Jones like, "Ooh, I knew it. He let it slip. Son of a bitch." Yeah.
The fact that he would actually make jokes about that, he didn't made it all the time. He would make Kenya jokes very, very often.
Well, because when you're in office, you got to be. He understood very, very well that anything you say
has
is
actual.
important. It has weight to it.
Yeah.
It's analyzed like what
It is recorded,
right? Kind of like when Reagan was talking, something about
we start bombing in 5 minutes.
bombing in 5 minutes, right? And everyone knew it was a joke, but it was reported and it was not appreciated,
right?
So or McCain with his bomb Iran.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's the solution to everything.
Right.
That worked in Iraq, it worked in Afghanistan, and now they're perfect paradises in the Middle East. They were bombed into submission, and now America is victorious, and we've gone home and what?
Oh, wait, no, yeah.
Well, did that not happen?
Oh, yeah.
Someone actually pointed out to me the other day that a child that was born during the beginning of Bush's, escapades in Iraq is now about 2 years away from being old enough to serve there himself or herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, every single Republican president in recent memory, well, I mean, yeah, all three of them, Reagan, Daddy Bush, Baby Bush, they've all gotten us into, if not wars, then warlike scenarios. We got, Nicaragua and, arms to Iran, stuff with Reagan. Yep. We've got Gulf War I with Daddy and Gulf War II with Baby. So that kind of sets the tone,
Well, it also goes back to what you say. It's follow the money. I mean, it's profiteering off of,
Halliburton made a sweet amount of money off of.
I said that about Trump from the beginning, that was, he was just going to pick a fight with somebody so we could start a conflict with somebody so that his fat cat buddies can make money off of it.
We got to have a pretext so that the government of the United States will go, yes, this is a worthy and honorable thing. We will now vote for billions of dollars for this effort. And, of course, Halliburton and the rest of them, and
Yeah.
Blackwater and
yeah.
all the other, they get their big meaty slice of the pie and stuff like that. Yeah. So my question is, he's been rattling the saber quite a little bit about Iran and North Korea and stuff like that. I'm wondering if he's going to try, he's about 2 weeks away from most likely pulling out of the Iran agreement.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure. I've heard a lot of different ways on how that could fall out. The least of which is all the other signees go, we're not gonna stop doing it, and if we're not pulling out, so we're gonna continue doing what we were doing.
Right.
And the thing is that if America tries to impose sanctions, they will do it unilaterally, and it will have far less effect than if they had the force of all the nations together, like it did before the arrangement.
Right.
So,
well, John Oliver did a whole segment and broke down the whole agreement and said, "Okay, let's explain what this is and what it was." And it was fascinating. But he also, he
got the cowboy.
He got
the catheter cowboy.
The catheter cowboy. He said the one of Trump's main things is, it's a terrible deal. They could, in 10 years, they could start
enriching uranium.
Thank you. Re-enriching uranium and make it and John Oliver said, well, if you killed the deal, they could do it tomorrow.
Exactly. And 10 is a lot more than 0.
Yes.
Ta-da. So, yeah. And I am happy to hear some of the things that are coming out of North and South Korea.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
You know what? And I don't know enough about the socio-political dynamics on the Korean Peninsula to say that maybe Trump being a dick on Twitter didn't rattle, North Korea enough to where they're like, you know what? We better start, doing. I don't know. I absolutely don't know.
They've always said that North Korea had such like food shortages.
Oh,
and
yeah.
poverty.
Let's put it this way: if China stopped supporting them to one degree or another, there would be just mass die-offs, and there already are.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy that came over that was shot like 5 times trying to escape from the north to the south. They were able to keep him from dying, and they found out he had like parasites and tapeworms and malnutrition and all this other stuff. And he was a member of the military.
Ugh. Well, they just don't have any money. I mean,
they don't have because everyone is prohibited for the most part from dealing with North Korea.
Yeah.
They're cut off from banking. They're cut off from, they're cut off from everything.
Yep.
So, and what little money they do have goes into hacking Sony Pictures and developing nuclear weapons. But I'll tell you, if, apparently they're going to sign the formal ending of the Korean War,
which is insane
because it's only been an armistice since the Korean War ended.
Which
it hasn't
was 53. Something like that.
God, I wish I knew.
Yeah,
I'm a horrible person.
Yeah, it was in the 50s. So
well, yes,
I mean,
yes.
that's insane.
And when Reach for Comment, Hawkeye Pierce.
Yeah.
What?
Finally.
They actually, the president of South Korea and Kim Jong-un, or as President Trump says, Kim Jong-un, because he's sounding out phonetically and so he doesn't get it wrong because he's a child. Not that I have an opinion. They actually met, shook hands.
Yeah.
Photo op.
Yeah.
And,
right on the DMZ, right?
Right at, yeah. He crossed into South Korea over this looks like a little concrete curb.
Yeah, that's the
and
DMZ. Yeah.
Just stepped right over. Well, no, the DMZ is the full zone. That's
right, but there's like one little
well, there's the border.
There's the border where the two guys stare at each other.
Right, exactly.
All the time. And, yeah.
Well, I think there's a thing called is it called a peace house? There's a place that's right there where when North and South have to get together to talk about something, they go right to there.
Okay. In
the DMZ. Like I said, I'm only getting bits and pieces about, the entire history and the current situation there. I'm only getting what I hear in the news. And what I read and The Guardian, got to read The Guardian. We love The Guardian. And listen, if it turns out, it may be decades before we find out just how the thinking was going on in North Korea in relation to the stuff that Trump did. Because remember, we found out, the thinking of the Soviet Union during some of these tense moments in the 80s. Decades later, like, oh yes, I remember, and oh yeah, we were afraid of Reagan or whatever. You go, wow, you were? You never let on. You're like, of course not.
Well, no.
So we may not know for quite a while if Trump had, anything to do with this, or the fact that, Kim Jong-un, North Korea got their nuclear weapons, got it to a point where they were sufficiently ferocious enough in the world, on the world stage. You can go, all right, now we can deal. We'll meet with America. We'll talk to South Korea. It could be a coincidence.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And maybe it's just like, it's time. This is too much. And who knows?
Well, you look at the satellite pictures of Korea, and it's literally like it's cut in half by light. South Korea looks like Las Vegas on a Saturday night. North Korea, has little dots and maybe a few more in Pyongyang, and that's it. There are no lights.
Yeah.
So I want to end on a happy note.
Okay, good. Yeah. There's been a lot of shit.
Every I don't know, 4 or 5 months, we just got to vent some political stuff. Have the conversations that we have off mic, on mic, and in our heads, just to purge the poison and the vitriol and get it out there. But we also had some very, very some good news.
Okay.
It's good news. It's in the entertainment world.
All right.
There's been a big reunion that we didn't know about. Huge.
Okay.
I mean, like massive on the scale of like the Beatles were back together again for some people.
Okay.
For some people. Mostly John Bowen. How you doing, John? This week it was announced that we are going to get 2 new songs for the first time in, I think, 35 years from ABBA.
Really?
They said they'd never do it. They did it.
So the guys and the girls get back together?
They did 2 songs. They didn't say they were going to tour. They didn't say they were going to perform them live themselves.
Right.
They've recorded them.
Interesting.
And
You can do that without being in the same room.
That is absolutely
You'd be
true.
on different continents.
Well, see, over the years they had been offered like, we will give you $100 million for like 4 gigs or whatever the thing is. A staggering amount of money to get back together and tour. And they were just like, we don't need the money, so why? And
they were remounting Chess on Broadway, from what I understand.
Are they?
Yeah, I've heard rumblings of that. So, which people don't realize that was Benny.
Yeah,
and Bjorn.
well, that's Benny and Bjorn. That's not the other 2, but that's
right.
that's.
But
Benny
I mean, so they're fine. They're doing okay.
Oh yeah, they're no. Trust me. Even if they had done nothing post ABBA.
Well,
at
Mamma Mia
all,
alone.
Well, if they'd done nothing post ABBA at all,
yeah,
just the money from the ABBA stuff
fine.
It would keep them in,
But Mamma Mia,
in herring and whatever else they have in Sweden. I don't know what it is. Was that Finland? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yes, Mamma Mia, and apparently they're doing another Mamma Mia film.
Yeah.
They're not going to do a sequel on Broadway. They're going straight to film.
Yeah.
Listen, I enjoy ABBA. It's fun, light. It means more to people
my
than
band,
others.
The Dirt Poets, thedirtpoets.com. We actually do an ABBA song. We do Does Your Mother Know? And we do a rock version of it, and it's really good.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that was credited to the Lundell brothers that I play with, Johnny and John, Mark, and Jody. They did that just for fun on their own because they grew up listening to ABBA. So they cut it and we do it, and it's great.
Hey, one of my favorite films, one of 300 is Muriel's Wedding, which has an exclusively ABBA soundtrack.
Yeah.
So now here's the cool thing. The names of the songs have been revealed.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, excuse me. The names of one of the songs has been revealed.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, it's going to be performed at some kind of a thing later in 2019 or something like it, but not by them. By some, they have this hologram tour going on, and that's what got them back together. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a whole weird thing. People,
It's a
why
thing,
would you
man.
go see a hologram?
Yeah.
Although I have never been live and saw a hologram, so maybe I'd go, oh my God, it's awesome. I don't know. But here's the deal. The name of one of the new ABBA songs is
Medication time. Medication time.
We ran out of time. I will tell you next week.
The 9 Billion Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bowner. With Benny Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Loner. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, BeatBot, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Brown Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the Office of Howard and Fine. Next time we swear, Infinity War, solo stuff, whatever we got, it's gonna be, we're gonna lighten it up a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Our intro music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shark Records and is a production of Audio Pioneer. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Listen on SoundCloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us comlink@billionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bowner.
I'm Michael Reed.
Hello, Z.
Audio Primate.